Hey, Gavin Palmer with HeroLFG.com. You were looking for group, and I was asked on the Sorting Myself Out Discord server what I think about that community, and something that's been in the back of my mind for a while is that there's a few ideas, but sorting myself out. Hold up, there might be a distraction above my head, so that's my that's one of the Peace on Earth projects. POEP, POEP. Okay, let me turn that image off. I can put a link in the description. And so, yeah, I mean, sorting myself out could be a part of the Peace on Earth projects. Um, and I would connect, it's got to be connected to Jordan Peterson, in my opinion. And Jordan Peterson has this self-authoring program, which there was a deal and I bought two accounts a long time ago. And I figured I would go through, I would just show you what I did. I haven't even read it. Maybe I won't share this thing, but I'm hoping there's a timestamp for when I did it. But one thing that I've tried to, you know, an idea I've tried to share with Jordan Peterson and people at self-authoring is like, it would be nice if individuals who are doing the individualism and the personal responsibility, um, when they have overlapping goals, if they can become connected, right? So it's kind of like, it'd be like a dating site, but it's not for dating necessarily. It could be, but it could be for friendships and for communities. Because if you know me, you know that I believe in cooperation. Um, Tecumseh, I've been listening to Alan Eckert, and one of the things Tecumseh tells his people is that you can take a horsehair and a child can break it. A baby can break a horsehair, but if you take a bundle of horsehairs and braid it together, the strongest man won't be able to break it. And that's the pattern of cooperation, and it's everywhere. And so I think cooperation is important, and community is important. That's why I'm called Hero Looking for Group. So I could imagine, like, for example, Mercury could use his personal channel to do his personal thing, kind of like I'm doing with my channel, and then sorting myself out could become something like a community channel, like the Randos United channel that Jeff manages, where when more than one person come together, then it becomes eligible for sorting myself out. Something like that in general. But let's go through. So in self-authoring, you have present authoring faults, present authoring virtues, future authoring, and past authoring. So I'm just going to start like past authoring. What comes to mind is we're not perfect. We made mistakes, and when we made those mistakes, we there's a good chance we weren't even aware that we were making them. That's the way most people make mistakes. And so after we've, you know, if we're in the present correctly, then we are learning. And as we learn and grow and develop through experience, we can look back at the past and acknowledge that, hey, um, I'm a different person now. So in the past, I've been thinking about sinful seeds and the seven sins, and like for example, wrath and pride. I could go through each one, and you know, they've all those seeds have been in my mind because I'm a human, and my ability to weed my garden um, has improved over time, and that's the past. Um, and in the project management space and team building space, this would be called like a retrospective. And you might have someone to do a one-on-one with where you can do a retrospective. And you could have a team that you work with. Like I work with a team and we are productive and they can provide feedback about what I did in the past, um, virtues and faults. You start with the virtues, what you do well. You talk about the criticisms, and it's the goal is that it's a learning opportunity. Um, so we can do that on our own. It's better if we are working with teams, and our teams can do it together because we have the Holy Spirit and we want to learn. We listen, we learn, we love, and we respect. Um, 3LR, that's like the estuary protocol, 3LR. And and I like OBS because I can pause. I had a caught the entrance into the domain here in the recording studio. But yeah, 3LR is the estuary protocol, and we, as a team, we can get better at doing retrospectives. Um, then there's the present authoring, faults and virtues. This requires, and I should note, you can't do all three of these things at the same time. Like you have to switch your focus. Um, the present is the most important to me, at least now. Maybe in the past it wasn't. Maybe the future was more important. But you know, if you lay out your future, then your future authoring plan, your goals are very important. Actually, I mean, your goals might be most important because that will bring alignment into everything else. It brings in alignment into, you know, are you doing teamwork and why? And are you um, doing your retrospectives? And are you able to be in the present? Have you learned the importance of the Holy Spirit? Have you learned the importance of, you know, cultivating your garden within your mind and the garden that's outside your mind in your relationships and in your community? This is all connected to your goals. So future authoring is like your grounding, you, and then you can be productive, and you can kind of you could have heuristics and measurements, and you can see how productive you're being, and and ultimately you have to be able to juggle your goal, your big goal, your ideal, with the present, and then um, you also have to juggle the present with the past. And it makes me want to do this. So this is juggling. I have I have three balls. We can handle three things with practice. Two is easier. Like one's the easiest, and it's, you can start with like the ideal and figure that out. Then you can add in the present. So how do I get there? Then you can add in the past. So you have your ideal goals. You have the present. What do I do to get my goals? And am I being productive? And then you have the past. It's like this allows for learning. And then you have to be able to do all three. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So juggling is a good practice. It helps you practice juggling these three things. Um, so let's go ahead and explore. What did I write? Future authoring. I'm curious. Open exercise. Let's go. Maybe I can click this index. There we go. General instructions. General instructions 2. General instructions 3. This was a long time ago. There's no timestamps. There's no version control. Like ideally this would have timestamps and version control. One thing you could do better. I want to be a better listener, communicator, and leader. I think I've gotten better. I learned um, to be of service. Try to be of service. Be a servant leader. And don't worry about receiving your personal credit. Um, don't do it for yourself. Um, that's and then that ends up working. Things to learn about. Um, I like learning more about myself and others in order to expand my understanding of society. I'm interested in history as it relates to psychology. Within 2 to 5 years, I would like to know more about machine learning. I have peeked into that world and believe it will be important for me as a leader in IT. So I have peeked into machine learning, and what I came away with was an appreciation for the experts at machine learning. Um, I like being able to communicate with experts. Machine learning is very important. Like you could take these self-authoring exercises, and you could, for example, build a personality profile, and you could take all the information around that person, maybe all their feeds from their social networks, and you can match people together to form teams who have similar goals that are overlapping. You could use it for dating. You could use it for team building. This is the human resource problem, and machine learning could help with our human resource problem, where we're not very good at cooperation. We're not very good at promoting and demoting and figuring out um, how to organize people. Improve your habits. I want to practice being more deliberate and less reactive. Yeah, so sometimes those sinful seeds like wrath and pride and things like that can, um, your reaction can be something where maybe actions and words are just actions, but your actions, they occur and people get hurt, including yourself. I believe I need to get better at planning. I mean, I'm doing this planning here when I wrote that. I want to be able to discover important information, retain that information, and recall it as needed. Well, maybe I can just take notes. My brain's not working well. Maybe I can outsource to the technology. I probably need to discover habits which enable these general goals. I need to practice improving my memory. My memory doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse. Um, and I would say that my habits have changed. I need to practice to remember. I'll update to remember the good and avoiding an imbalance where I focus too much on one thing or category. I've gotten good at that, but I have learned to focus more on the ideal. So so I try to practice, knowing what the ideal is and um, remembering it, like a, and that has something to do with the ideal future, peace on earth, um, and the Holy Spirit, right? Remembering that in my mind and in my uh, community, in my area, my space time. So I think I think I've done this, and what I found was I would you can call it God um, as the ideal, and you know my the peace on earth has solidified. The ideas behind what is required for peace on earth has solidified, and there's been help. Um, it hasn't like I have met people who are interested in peace on earth as well. Very few, but there are people. Oop, I did not save. They had a save button. Um, My ideal social life involves having enjoyable conversations with people outside of my nuclear family once or twice a week for a period of time longer than 30 minutes. This conversation shouldn't be small talk. I wish I had a date here. As you have kids, the amount of time you have decreases. One thing I would add here is like I want to get better at having these conversations with my wife and children, and I have, and I want to continue getting better. And part of this is how you behave at the dinner table. But you know, every it doesn't have to be online, right? You can learn how to do these in person as well. Um, your leisure activity in the future. My leisure life on weekends would include getting out into nature with my family. My leisure life in evenings would include learning from others and forming an intellectual community. I think I've helped. For example, Jacob Vaccarecci, he has an intellectual community. So, and I think it's doing okay. It's doing well. And I like helping Jacob with that. I've learned some from my mistakes as well, but yeah, I've made mistakes. Um, I've got banned from at least two communities. So, and I've got kind of disempowered from a third. Um, I want my children to have a connection with the natural world so that there is not an imbalance resulting from only connections with the artificial world. I imagine us taking a family trip each year where my children have a diversity of healthy experiences. I still want this, and we kind of do this, and there's been changes in my life that will continually facilitate this. Um, when you get out in nature, nature is dangerous. So, and that's good. Sometimes it's lethal, and so there has to be, some, I have to be vigilant to a degree. And then at the same time, maybe there's some faith or trust that I learn. I would like to be a leader within an organization which is responsible for helpful technology which benefits society. Yeah, I mean, I think, um, I think I'm still headed in that direction. Um, can't say I've actually succeeded. It is my experience that I bring great value to any team I work with, and I don't want my talent to be wasted. I believe technology can transform our world in very helpful ways so long as good people are working hard. Qualities you admire. I admire encouraging people who enjoy seeing others improve. I admire people who are willing to take financial risk in order to help society in big ways through technology. Ideal future. I am very interested in a future where I help make discoveries through research and innovation. I work with a team of people who are highly qualified for their roles. My role is a technical leader who is deserving of trust and responsibility. I am involved in every decision-making process in some way. I don't know, I might would change that sentence. I think maybe in some way is okay, but maybe very hands off. I don't want to be a micromanager. I like doing reviews of other people's plans and work. I do like that. I don't necessarily want to do the work. And I also want to allow them to kind of formulate their own plans. Uh, Especially like I've learned that it doesn't always have to be my way. That is very important to learn. I am able to make plans which are mutually beneficial for everyone. That would be nice. Very hard though. Um, Also, I've learned not to, I can care more than everyone else, but I shouldn't care twice as much as everyone else. This has been really important. This role might be something like CIO, Chief Information Officer, and a board member for the company, or our work spans across markets which are helpful to society. I, I don't want to end up looking back at life with regret. I want to look back and know that I put forth respectable effort, whether I succeed or not. I mean, that's on the head right there. Um, and everyone who works with me knows I put in the effort. I also want to be a good father, student, and teacher. So I've changed this a bit, husband, father, um, worker, and servant. And so all of these are all connected. Student, teacher, father, those are all connected. My plan is to do good work, keep my eyes open and learn from my mistakes. My basic plan has been in action for 3 years now. I mostly bought this course out of curiosity and support for Dr. P. But I could go through this for like the sorting myself out community, and everyone could do this and participate. Um, I wrote previously that I want to avoid a future where I look back and believe I could have tried to have a better impact with my life. I don't want to see a world where AI causes an extinction event. I don't want to see a world where my children cause harm to others. And that's a hard one. I mean, like those sinful seeds are in all of us, and you can become a reactive person. And so for me as a father, and I was thinking, it's like it, it can be condescending for me to treat everyone as a child and me to try to assume the position of a father to children. But I do have children. But yeah, so when I talk, I'm thinking about my children, like my biological children, but there may be other people who benefit. And I say, those sinful seeds, we have to learn how to do that internal spiritual battle. And, I've got a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and one that's going to turn 2 soon. And, they're all at different stages of development, and it's a work in progress. And it's still a work in progress for me. But there's improvement. And here's the summary. That was stage 1. And then I never did stage 2, specific goal identification. And I could work through this. Um, Title and briefly describe your ideal future. Um, Provide clean water to all humans. Description. And so this is when I was pointing up, this was pretty good. So I got connected with someone who I've been wanting clean, like I've always been interested in peace on earth, and I've always connected that to just a more realistic goal that's more finite and explicit as a requirement for peace on earth is clean water. And so the thing above me is the convective heat engine. So what we were going to do is build 14,000 skyscrapers and transform the deserts and to produce necessities for all humans. The basics is clean water, you got food, you got shelter. I mean, um, it's under the guise of fighting global warming, which is a narrative which a lot of people care about. So there's motivation, and this actually solves the problem that a lot of people care about. Um, I haven't been worried about this problem, but it just so happens that these goals that I have align with these goals that other people have, and that's good. Save. Specifying and clarifying your goals. So I've got goals: personal goal, career goal, social goal. So there's a lot of them. Yeah, so you can, I mean, that's the thing with sorting myself out is we can have goals and, you know, you know, like I'm actually like into building cities. Like that's the goal. It's 20 years from now. Um, that there will be multiple cities springing up in deserts. And these will be opportunities to experiment with um, government in the way that's never been done before. Because there's not a lot of opportunities to experiment in government. But, so when I interact with people and communities online, it's like I'm actually attempting to establish connections with people who are interested in peace on earth and who would be interested in all of the problems, all of the sub goals within that, which includes everything. Like when Jordan Peterson says the climate change problem, he says that means everything. Everything is the climate, and it is. So every problem that exists have to be solved, and some of them are larger than others and require cooperation. And that's why fundamentally we have to do that personal responsibility thing, sorting ourselves out, doing that spiritual war. It connects back to taking care of your garden and those sinful seeds. Um, you know, maintaining being embodying the Holy Spirit and embodying uh, Christ. There's a bunch of ways to say it. Um, and so it all comes back to the individual, and then I wrote a actually I recommend this thing. I shared it in the sorting myself out. I had a recent post. Interesting that it says not secure. This one is secure. So, research and development, you have the spiritual war. We must learn to mix together while preventing sinful seeds from sprouting in our minds in order to create peace on earth. We can retreat into isolation and learn to prevent the sinful seeds from sprouting. Then we can do exposure therapy to learn how to prevent sinful seeds from sprouting when mixing into other environments with other people. We retreat and reap our spiritual lessons. We engage and sow our spiritual battles. We learn to engage more often and for longer periods of time while retreating less often and for less time. We might even learn to retreat into our mind, no matter our environment, so that we never allow the sinful seeds to grow and bear fruit. So, they say there is original sin, and it's true, but we can become a person who does not sin because we've learned to cultivate our garden nonstop. I believe that. And that's what sorting myself out is, in my opinion. That's what taking on personal responsibility is. And so there's all these worries that people have. And it's ultimately, I was talking to a guy and he had every conspiracy theory. And I told him how I used to get into that. I said, but I ultimately asked the question, so what am I going to do about it? And the thing I'm going to do about it is I'm going to take personal responsibility. I'm going to become the best person I can be. I'm going to try to be productive. I'm going to try to do teamwork. I'm going to try to become a leader. So if I don't see good leaders, I'm going to try to become a leader. And if I don't see good communities, I'm going to try to help become part of a good community. And if I don't see good governments, I'm going to try to learn how to build a good government. And if I don't see good economics, I'm going to try to learn how to build a good economy. Um, if I don't see, if I see people starving and having malnutrition, I'm going to try to learn how to develop the the world such that people aren't starving and dying of malnutrition. Um, so to just take on personal responsibility. And when I did that at first, it was overwhelming because I did it. I was trying to take it on all by myself, and and then I realized, well, that's futile. And so that's where I learned the importance of cooperation. It's where you get to when you take on personal responsibility. You end up learning uh, that you and a lot of the people that are suffering are people who maybe didn't have the wisdom communities like myself. I don't feel like I had wisdom communities, but we end up learning. We take on personal responsibility, and we learn the importance of a wisdom community. So let me know what you think. I gotta get to work. Have a good one.